number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm Patrick Cristiano, your host, the publisher of TheaterLife.com, a website for theater buffs in New York City, covering Broadway and off-Broadway theater, and we cover social events here in the Hamptons. Today I have a really cool guest, my friend, Julie Keyes. Julie, welcome. It's so cool to have you finally in the studio.
This is the most fun I've had for weeks.
Julie, if you don't know who she is, she's a gallery owner out here, and she's recently moved her gallery to 53 Main Street in Sag Harbor, right next door to the American Hotel, which is, it's really cool. If you haven't been over, you have to get around to see it. So Julie, how does it feel to be in Sag Harbor?
It's unbelievable. When I moved out here to go to college, and it was the American Hotel is just the glamorous place to go. And I moved back here in 1996.
What brought you out here originally?
To go to college.
You said that just now.
And it was,
But you went to Southampton?
And I thought, oh my God, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. And the community.
My first reaction to the community was exactly the same, and I was an Air Force brat, and I traveled all over the world, and I'd seen so many places, and I knew instantly that this was
I was from Connecticut. That's not travel in the world.
Yeah, but it doesn't. You still recognized it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I had things to compare it to, actually, and I still knew it was
the ocean,
extraordinary.
The food, the community, the embracing community of people, no matter who they are, is very unique to Sag Harbor, to the East End art scene. I think they've always been mavericks and innovators and artists who've lived out here. So whether you're a full-time person who's a bayman, or you're a artist who has a naked monkey on your head, if you're standing in line at Scavoni's, people are like, well, thank you very much, nice to see you. It just is one of those fantastic communities that buoys everybody with them.
And initially it was, all the artists were drawn here because of the light.
True.
And how extraordinary it is.
And it's so right. How many breathtaking views are from here in your house? Seriously, you drive along Scuttle Hole Road. It's just, and what about when you drive from the city to here?
You know, we argue about which is the prettier way to go on the back roads.
Right. or you've gone to some over-the-top, fantastic, glamorous place, and you come back, you get off a plane, and you drive out here, and just after the Lobster Inn, you start going, I'm home. It's so fantastic. I mean, you can see whales and eagles, and I mean the nature out here is something else.
So it's no wonder so many wonderful artists have been drawn to our location out here. And you get immersed into the community since 1980. Gives you a special entree, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, to come out here and to go to school for the arts in the 80s, Larry Rivers, Elaine de Kooning, Connie Fox, Howard Kanovitz, the people who were working out here and the people whose studios I've been to, from Lichtenstein to Kooning on, are the greats of all the arts. Jerry Robbins, the people who were at the school, the writers from, oh my God, his name just went out of my head. The Snow Leopard, Matheson.
Oh.
I mean, the writers, everybody's here. I mean, there's tons of fantastic people, actors.
What inspired you to open a gallery initially?
Well, you know, I left here because it's very difficult to make a living if you're not in the tourist industries, as you know, out here. And it was more limited before the internet was so successful for you to be able to stay here year-round. And so I moved and I started a ceramic factory in Marblehead, Massachusetts. And And we were doing really well, except, selling hard goods in America is impossible. You can't make a product in Marblehead, Massachusetts as a factory and sell it and make enough money to live. It's just, that's why there aren't factories anymore. And while I was while I had the store, I would have seconds and all the ceramics in the front, and people would start bringing art to me. And this was in the late 80s. And I would show the art. And I was making more money off the art than the ceramics, which I had 15 people painting. So I started being slow, I started going, oh. And then, because I had been out here, I had access to all these fantastic artists who were willing to show with me because they knew me.
So that was the
So that
initial-
was a good
By
beginning.
people, so what inspired you was people bringing you their art and you seeing how people responded to it.
Exactly. But along with that, then I moved back here. I really didn't have a plan. I got divorced. I moved back to Sag Harbor. I didn't really have a plan. I was waitressing, which I was terrible at.
I can't imagine you being very good at it.
No,
really.
no.
You would want to talk to the people too much.
That, and along with that, I was like, I'd give people the wrong food. I didn't care, because I'm not. So I'd be like, "What? You don't like burgers? I'm sorry, but could you, But here's a lobster roll." Get over yourself. And when people would complain about things, I'd be a little, I'd have little time for it.
Before you get into the history, and I do want to cover your history, but time is going fast. Let's show the images so people can get excited about some of the work that you have that's going on in your gallery right now that is really cool.
Fantastic.
Again, it's at 53 Main Street, right next door to the American Hotel. I've been in the space just recently. It's
Right in the
dynamite.
American Hotel. It's so fabulous.
Yeah, it really. So this is
So here's there's two artists that I work with all day long, which is Bert Stern and Nathan Joseph. Bert Stern was a photographer who moved here, and he moved here in the 90s, but he initially came out here in 1961 with his friend Stanley Kubrick to do the stills for Lolita, which was Kubrick's first film, and they stayed at the American Hotel. So the images we have of Sue Lyon, who was the star, she played the ingenue
in Lolita, yes.
in Lolita, and they bought the glasses.
Take the image down for a second. We'll bring it back up while she talks about
They
this.
bought the glasses, the little heart-shaped glasses, in the 5 and dime. They took pictures of her, and they got the one picture of her in the rearview mirror that they used on the book, which is an iconic image of Lolita. So we did a show when I opened 2 years ago in Sag Harbor. Bert Stern had passed away a year before, and the widow, Shauna, and I put together this show of his explorations of Lolita in Sag Harbor.
You did that in East Hampton at the Circle before before you've opened your new location.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was a dynamite location too.
It
but
was
this is
a
so
nice
much
location.
better.
This is,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Ted's an old friend. He's a fantastic guy. The space is heaven on earth. It is open 10 to 10 because people are in there from 10 to 10. Looking at things, I live so close I can yell to my husband like this from my desk in the gallery. I can go, Nathan, and he can hear me.
Which I wanted to tell you, the other person that you represent a lot is Nathan,
Right.
who is a renowned artist in his own right.
Absolutely. He's in all museum collections. He's a fantastic sculptor and colorist. And his studio is in Sagaponack, and he is my husband at the same time.
So let's go back. We'll get back into Nathan in just a minute, but let's go back to that original image we had up, the Bert Stern, the first one. So this is what's in that image?
That's Twiggy.
Okay, this is Twiggy in this.
And this is Bert Stern in the 80s and 90s started working in a lot of abstraction of his earlier pieces. And he was always an innovator. Like he did the first abstract series of photographs for an advertising campaign.
Yeah, his advertising campaign was incredible. Shauna was on our show earlier, I think around the time you had that exhibition
Right.
In East Hampton. So, but he also was renowned for his photographs, The Last Sitting of Marilyn.
Well, so he does this sitting, the show, the Lolita, and then he gets a job to do The Last Sitting of Marilyn. Now, who knows that it's the last sitting, but it starts in a Dior dress, and they start drinking, and it ends up taking 2 days, and the entire expanse of the Marilyn sitting is one fantastic photograph after the next. It's just
Yeah, it's
they're
extraordinary.
ridiculously beautiful.
It's like, and that's extremely popular. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, they're the pictures that Warhol used to do his Marilyn.
Right.
So I mean, you know, everybody know. I mean, he's fantastic. And then
And he actually became a resident and bought a house right here in
Yeah.
Sag Harbor, where you have things you do.
we
functions
do
and-
open studios in there. It's great. I mean, again, being in Sag Harbor has given me access to artists and estates and collections that would never have occurred in New York, that doesn't occur in Cincinnati, and wouldn't occur in LA for me because of my connection to the community that I've known all this time, my connection to the art world, because most of the people in the art department of Southampton College don't leave either. You know, the farthest they go is New York. So they're all here.
Why would you want to go
I
anyplace?
know. They're either here or somewhere within 2 hours. And I mean, they all have stayed in their craft. So it was a formidable school for actual studio arts.
So now let's look at some more images. I think we have one of your husband. What is this?
Oh,
Nathan's?
there.
Is this
yeah.
Nathan's?
Isn't that cool? That's
Now,
that's car
what's
paint.
the dimensions on this?
I think it's like 5 feet by 5 feet.
That's what's really, if you don't know that,
It's
this
big.
is incredible.
Right? And it's car paint, so you can put it anywhere. You can put it outside. His work goes inside and outside. We've done shows all over the place.
Does it have a name or something? Is it called something in particular?
I don't know, Yellow Ball 1. But his work, he
Tell us something about his history, because I know I'm not really
he
up to speed
grew up
on
in
it.
Israel, and I mean, talk about a different life. His parents, I mean, he's 70 something. So
Take the image down while we talk about Nathan a little bit, okay?
his parents were Israelis when Israel was Palestine. I mean, his mother was fascinating.
You can take the image down while we talk about Nathan. Thank you.
But they lived a different life. They lived in the desert in Israel before Israel was really Israel. You know, he remembers Independence Day after the war, you know. And then they moved to New York. His parents took both of his kids and they moved to Washington Heights. And he immediately moved to Soho in like 61. So he was
Was he a painter first or a sculptor first?
He was a painter first.
And then he evolved into sculpture?
Yeah,
sculpture?
and he lived with Larry Rivers. He lived with Bryce Martin. He lived with, he lived with Joni Mitchell romantically.
Really?
Yeah. He lived with Ellen Barkin. The people in his life from his times in Soho are pretty extraordinary.
How did you two meet?
We met through Larry Rivers.
Did Larry introduce you to
Yes.
him?
Yes.
Do
Larry.
you remember the meeting?
Oh, he was going through a divorce, and Larry and I had lunch every Wednesday. And Larry said, "My friend Nathan Joseph is going to join us today." And I'm like, "Oh, God," you know? And we just spent a lot of time together after that because it was right.
So the God turned out to be a good God, right?
Yeah.
not a
yeah, it
negative
worked out
one.
great. He's fun.
What year was that?
That was like 2000,
Oh.
the year 2000. Crazy, right?
When did Larry pass?
2001.
Wow, that was lucky timing.
I know. Thank God he did it. All right. Yes, he was a good friend. He was like Elaine, you know. Elaine Stritch, who was like a parent to me. So they were very similar.
Yes, I remember your relationship with Lane was very much like that.
Yeah, and they were both really, really wonderful.
So let's get back to some of the images, because this is another of Nathan's.
Yep, another car painted ball. They're all on display at the gallery, and they're amazing.
And
pieces.
this is also about the same size?
Yes.
They're all.
So Shauna,
Did he do a series of them?
Mm-hmm.
I get how many in the series?
6. Shauna Lohmeister Stern, who is Bert Stern's widow, curated the show. She put together Bert Stern's unseen abstract works of work with models from Sue Lyon on to, and these have never been shown before.
And this show will be up through what date?
Until the end of September.
So they have plenty of time, because our show won't air right away. So this will
I
be
know.
up through all of September. You can get over to 53
Yeah.
Main Street and see Julie at Julie Keys' gallery.
It's amazing.
So let's have some more of the images. We have about 10 minutes. So
we do?
this is one of Bert's
That's Lolita.
in
Isn't that
the glasses
crazy?
that they bought in the Five and Dime, right?
Yeah. And you know what's, I mean,
She was 13 in that picture.
Wow.
I mean, the whole story, to have a 13-year-old actually play Lolita in 1961, to come out to do the stills with Bert Stern. I think at the time she was in a letter writing thing with a prisoner from Huntsville Prison.
Huntsville, Alabama?
Yeah. And we tried to reach her several times and she won't respond. She's still alive. But the whole story, I mean,
Does anybody even know what happened to her, though?
no, she never was in another film.
I know that. I know, yeah.
Isn't
yeah.
that wild?
Yeah, but
And I mean, she was so special, right? I
Yeah.
mean, look at her.
let's move on. Excuse me. Oh, this is another Bert Stern.
Isn't that fabulous?
Yes.
See, now that's a great example of how he uses light. And I mean, in
He did it in the other one, too. Go back to the other one. You see the light? See the lighting that comes in here, too, is really cool.
But what makes
Through
him
the window.
impressive is he was a pioneer
Now let's
of
go on.
using special effects.
Yeah, he did that in his original advertising things that were so
None of
extraordinary.
that was really happening. Other people weren't doing that. You know, they were trying to set up the photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Bert was setting up the technology to respond to the photo shoot. So he was a pioneer in so many ways in the way he handled light.
Yeah, he was ahead of his time,
Oh,
definitely.
totally.
Definitely.
He
Yeah.
did a lot of things within a glass, you know, like he'd hold the glass and he'd put the camera behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would skew everything. He was amazing.
Are there more images? But go back to the one before that, because we can get to talk. Yeah.
Isn't that fantastic?
Now this is Twiggy.
Yeah.
Now Twiggy came out. Was this when she did the play at Bay Street? Probably, huh?
In 91?
I don't know. No, probably not. She probably. Well, I'm not sure when she was
Look
there.
at her. I mean, just think about it. Like he was one of the more unique I mean, I think there are 4 photographers from that era that really are worth their.
Who?
Avedon.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name? Oh my God, what's her name?
Which I don't know which. One.
There's Avedon, Bert Stern, Arbus,
Annie Leibovitz you're talking about.
and Annie Leibovitz. I mean, who else is there? Milton Green is pretty good. There's a lot of good photographers. I shouldn't make.
Well, that's why I was.
I shouldn't
I'm
make
sorry, I shouldn't
statements
have
like
been.
that. But those are my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal feeling. I'll leave it there.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a good way to get out of that one.
Well,
But yeah.
So do we have more images? I think there's one more image. This is, and I realized we never said his full name. Nathan Slate Joseph.
And he lived with Chamberlain. He lived with John Chamberlain for years, and they experimented together. And you can see the combination being so simple.
Now, what is this? This is 20 inches by 14, so this is a little smaller. It's not quite as big as those
Right.
balls, right?
Yeah.
It's large anyway.
It's not as big as his balls. You're absolutely right.
But what's the meat? What is it made of? What's the medium?
It's aluminum with car paint. The thing with Nathan's work that is so fantastic is it fits in a glamorous space so well because it's so rough. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you put it in here, it would look stunning
Yeah.
because it's so well finished.
The juxtaposition,
Right, right.
It juxtaposes with
One
the
of his
environment.
pieces that he did is he did Jean Georges at 1 Central Park West. You know, that wonderful glamorous space
Yeah.
in that tower.
Wow.
Yeah. And he had tons and tons of shows. He has a big, huge exhibition in Florida. He has one. We also have a show of his
Do
work.
you do
at-
travel with him when he has a big exhibition?
Sometimes. He did a show that's up right now called The Boatyard at Tate Yachts, which is up to the end of September also.
Where is Tate Yachts?
It is on the water in Sag Harbor. And you can come to the gallery. We have a book and a map, but he made all these boats, like
Oh, that's a cool-
abstract boats on pylons or whatever they are, stanchions. So there's all these boats sitting there. They look really cool. So those are beautiful too, you know, because he claims he's from the sea.
We'll have to get Can you get Nathan to come on and talk about his work? You'll bring him?
Oh, sure.
Would you do that?
I would love to get him on here.
Yeah, because it'd be wonderful to get him talking about all the things that he's been doing, because he's got such a fantastic history.
And I know, he really does.
And he's so personable, too.
Yeah, and he, you know what's wild about him is he really is that guy. Like in the modern world, at times, people go into the arts because they like the lifestyle of it.
Uh-huh.
And it's very clear. There's over 2,000 galleries in New York, and there's a lot of people showing a lot of stuff. And every once in a while, you really do run across a person who, by heart, by soul, by intellect, they have no choice but to get what's here out of them onto a canvas. And those people are fewer and farther between because of the amount of people who want the lifestyle and who are driven to say they're an artist because they see it as glamorous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that in the world,
Yeah, there's more and
In-
more of it. Yeah, it's a lot.
in all of the arts.
It's
and-
just it's not just the arts. It's kind of spilled over into
Right.
life. I mean, it's spilled over in a way that's not.
There's a Velveteen Rabbit trend, whereas, but even in younger people, there every once in a while you really do come across. It's almost like the same amount of artists are being born as were ever being born, no matter how many people are pretending
You know
they're
what?
artists.
You take me right back to the question: is it nurture or nature that makes it necessary for the person that has to reveal their soul?
I think it's that perfect combination.
Of nature and nurture?
Yes. Audrey Flack said that she was in a study, and they studied 10, 20 artists, and they came up with this one pearl, which is that you have to have supportive but not that supportive parents, and you have to be born with it. Like you have to have enough support to be secure and not enough support to stay insecure, if that makes any sense.
Not to drive you.
Yes.
To want more.
Exactly.
Yeah, to be
And
hungry
so,
still.
Exactly. So you have to have both of those emotions majorly in tandem.
Right.
I mean, isn't
And they
that
have
fascinating?
they have to play in balance.
Yes.
They have to kind
Which
of be
I
balanced
certainly
to
think
drive
I do.
the boat. It's like the
Right.
motor. They're like the
You have to be both terrified and fearless at the
yes.
same
You have to
exact
overcome
time.
your fear.
Right.
Is what you ultimately have to do.
But you have to have that fear to understand it.
It becomes a driving force.
Yeah. Right. And so that's what she said that they decided.
So the real question is, are people born with that fear, or does the life bring it to you then?
Combo.
You
Don't
still
you
think it's a
think?
combo? I don't know. I think every situation is different, and I think
Yeah,
everybody
I
is
think you're
unique.
right.
But I really do believe that we come into this world with a unique set of stuff that's very specific to us.
Right. I do too.
I mean, otherwise, you can't explain how people could play the piano at 4 and all those things like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
It makes me go the Shirley MacLaine route.
Without a doubt.
I mean,
It's foolish to believe that that doesn't, to think that,
The reincarnation you're talking about?
absolutely. It's foolish to think that that isn't possible. You know?
Do
It's-
you have any incidences in your life that you say, oh, that makes you feel like you've had a past life? Do you have any?
Without a doubt.
Can share one.
When I was living in Marblehead, Massachusetts, I had a dream that was so visceral, I thought it occurred. And I was in the middle of a marriage that was ending. I was drinking too much. And I had a dream where a voice came to me and said, you need to pray. You need to get your shit together because you're about to leave Marblehead, Massachusetts. You're about to get sober and your life is about to become a completely different life than what you know right now. You're going to be on the road January 15th. And I don't know why I'm telling you this on camera.
Well,
but-
I asked you to share one.
yeah, but wait. So I told everyone I knew how weird that dream was. And they all thought I was crazy. And then the gallery I had closed because they needed it for a roadway or something went wrong. My husband left. And on January 15th, I was in a U-Haul coming back to Sag Harbor.
But you said this reinforced your feeling about reincarnation. How did-
Absolutely.
because you felt like what about this?
I felt like it was a voice from my past.
Okay. And you felt it at the moment.
I knew it was something that wasn't just a frivolous dream. It wasn't coffee. It wasn't too much chicken. You know what I mean? It was something very specific and deeper than I'd ever heard.
So get over to the gallery in Sag Harbor, Julie Keys, and she'll share some of her thoughts on reincarnation
On
with you.
anything.
She's fun to visit.
Come sit
They're
down.
also going to be doing some film series in the back room, I think,
Oh, we
occasionally.
do. We're-
Yeah. There'll be
yeah.
a lot of exciting things going on over there. Julie, thank you so much for coming today. It's a
Oh,
pleasure
you're welcome.
talking with you.
Thank you.